Internet, people of the internet community, the internet fighting game community. Welcome to the first live edition of the Fray, featuring some notable folks from the fighting game community. My name is Derry Husky, host of the Fray. I play winter commentator, Twitter monster. With us tonight, we've got some new faces, some returning faces. First new face, the god of all stream monsters, Carter Gray, aka Hanzo effing Gonzo. How you doing, sir?
Good. Thanks for using my government name.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna tell everybody all your secrets.
Damn it.
The god of overlays, you see him most often working with Spooky and the boys back east, but you've probably seen his work of SF25 and Evo. We've got Martin Blake tonight. How you doing, my friend?
Doing good. I was trying to get to the 480p plus option on the Twitch channel, but it said I had to subscribe. I'm like, screw that.
Yeah, ad block, dude, all the way. Returning from Austin, Texas, the proprietor of Arcade UFO, which I hear Ryan, are you guys done with the renovations yet, or when's that going to be?
We're right in the middle of them, actually.
Right
It's
on.
looking like another 2.5 to 3 weeks is my estimated lead time. But yeah, what's up, internet? Good evening, everyone.
Right on. And then my broadcast partner for a long time now, and one of the mainstays here on the Fray, Magus1234. How you doing, man?
I'm smoking a storm over here, Derek. I'm so
Smoke.
excited. I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's
Grab a
welcome it.
beer. If it's the morning where you are, grab a light beer. Tonight, we are going to be nominating individuals and groups and incidents and tournaments for the first and probably last HorseHead Awards, the Horsies. Martin is going to be reading out the categories tonight. He's going to be letting us nominate our picks for who should be receiving these prestigious Horsehead Awards. And next time on the show, probably next week, we'll be reading off our picks for the winners. So make sure that you tune in next time to catch the winners. Tonight's show is all about the nominees. And I'm gonna let Martin go right into it with the first category for the Horsehead Awards this year. What do you got, man?
Okay, well, let's do it for today. We're going to start out with the best tournaments. Now, this is not a best major or anything else like that. These are just like tournaments that, that everyone throws together. Let's start out with the first one, which is Street Fighter 25th Anniversary Qualifiers in Los Angeles. The other one we have is Aftershock and Curly Mustache. Now, those three were pretty awesome tournaments, but if there's anyone else that you guys can think of that you'd like to throw in, go ahead and do so.
I like DreamHack. That's a good tournament.
But that's a major, though, isn't it?
Oh, for fighting games, I guess. Andrew,
Are we gonna be? Are we
Yeah,
doing
seriously.
this where it's like, is that a major or a tournament? Like, what the fuck is
I'm just
this?
trying to.
Like, I don't know what the hell that is. What is? If you're asking me, what was the best tournament of the year?
Yeah.
Obviously, man, that's
What was the
tough.
most fun tournament you went to this?
Well,
like,
I mean,
you
the most
personally?
fun. The, there's the 25th LA was really crazy just because the talent was really high and there was a lot online. So that one was pretty cool to spectate. Aftershock, of course, has a soft spot in my heart, also because we got to prove something. So that was cool. And what was the other one again, Martin? Sorry, it was.
It was Curly Mustache.
Oh, Curly. Yeah, of course. That one was really cool because we even had international guys over there. At least at the LA one, you had like Zach Bennett and stuff like that, and the NorCal and SoCal guys going at it. But if you're gonna ask me, like personally, because I was there, and also because it just had some validation for what I've known for a long time, is that NorCal is just light years past SoCal and Marvel play. That's gonna be Aftershock. So that if I had to nominate one, it would be Aftershock.
Ryan, you traveled a lot this year to not just FGC tournaments, but also some esports style tournaments. What was your favorite tournament of the year?
Let's see. So, are we talking about best tournament in the USA or best tournament period?
If you've got a non-major tournament you went to outside of the US and you want to
Okay,
talk
any
about it,
okay, any non-major tournament.
any non-major tournament.
Okay, here's the thing, though. We do have best international tournament after this. So
All right,
this
all
is
right, all
best
right.
tournament in the United States.
Okay, fair enough. So, best non-major, I would say, I think Curly Mustache really showed a lot this year because I mean, you don't really consider it a major. It was more of an invitational. But I really liked the format of Curly Mustache as a stream monster. It was excellent to watch, and I can't thank Curly Mustache enough for having those wonderful archives to watch and level up my Marvel game. So I got to give my shout outs to Yipes and Broken Seer for that.
Hanzo, your favorite tournament of the year, my friend?
Well, I'm kind of biased because I was actually performing in Aftershock, so I would say, oh my God.
Gotta shut your dog up.
Sorry.
Seriously, where's
that?
Michael Vick at when you need him?
You can't take this kid anywhere. Wait, nobody's disappeared?
Now he's gone. The dog ate
Yeah,
him.
He
this
chased the
dog
dog
killed
out
him.
the house.
Cujo.
Sorry. All right. As I was saying,
Rapunzel. All right, he's back.
I would probably say Aftershock if you're thinking about a Marvel tournament. I think it did better than it showed off more non-sponsored, like not spotlight players than say Curly Mustache. I think Curly Mustache LA, if you're gonna say any Curly Mustache, was the hypest because of the internationals and plus the Arizona people got to showcase a lot. But I would probably just say Aftershock just because I was in it and playing in it.
All right. Well, it sounds like our nominees for the award for best tournament are going to be the qualifier at Los Angeles for Street Fighter 25, Aftershock, and Curly Mustache. Seems like a pretty definitive list.
I guess nobody really said the 25th though, unless I don't
Well,
know.
we can just we can just leave it at Aftershock and Curly Mustache. Then.
Yeah. Well, what
Those
does
seem like
Martin
the
think?
front
I
runners.
don't think we got his vote on
I
it.
personally enjoyed Curly Mustache quite a bit just from the entertainment value of it. I think for how Spooky put it on and what Yipes did, it was awesome across the board as far as commentary, entertainment value. Aftershock was great too. It showcased a lot of players, but I think just out of overall entertainment value, I feel that Curly Mustache was more something that I enjoyed.
Yeah, I mean, can we all at least agree on one thing? The reason we're not saying Street Fighter 25th is because there was no Marvel there.
Pretty much.
It's
Pretty much.
like straight
I
up.
have to agree.
There's no fucking Marvel, so it's like, all right, next.
Next, absolutely. Speaking of next, give us the next tournament, Martin, or the next
Okay.
category, I should say.
Best international tournament. These are for tournaments outside of the United States, and I guess they also can be considered as majors. We got Shadowloo Showdown, Canada Cup, KVO, SF25 Brazil, and DreamHack.
I'm going to lead off the round this time and say that my personal favorite for best international tournament was Street Fighter 25 Brazil because it's a very fast, not to get too serious, but it's a very fascinating look at the demographics of fighting games and how Brazil is just as passionate about fighting games, but because of the economy in that part of the world, for the most part, most of the fighting gamers there don't have access to next generation consoles. A lot of those guys don't play games like Street Fighter 4. I was reading, Hans was saying that in Brazil, a Mad Catz fight stick can cost upwards of $800 American.
What?
Yeah, that's what he was like. These Brazilian players still play on like old ass Moss sticks. They still play like, so, but they still have this passion for the games that they have access to. They love fighting games, and so to see these guys playing Super Turbo, and if you were watching that tournament, they went nuts for Super Turbo. They displayed so much passion, and that would probably be my nomination for international tournament. Andrew, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, that was cute, Derry, but I think,
Thanks.
I think the sickest tournament was what everybody who played Marvel was sitting there watching anxiously to see what the Japanese had cooked up, because we always, whether you want to admit it or not, is we all kind of look up to them to discover, a lot of interesting tactics in fighting games and kind of raise the bar, play a little more calculated, than we do. So it was, even though they didn't necessarily do that in Marvel, I still feel like the US is, just has more people playing, so we're more advanced. But it was still really interesting to me to see them and see what they had cooked up. And it was cool that like, Hans and Martin and Ryan and all those cats were down there like helping out. So, I felt connected to what they were doing and watching them play a game like Marvel, which, usually they only have a couple guys, and they still do, but usually there's only a couple dudes ever playing in no real tournaments for the Marvel scene. Even in Marvel 2, there would only be a couple guys from Japan ever showing up to Evo, but they were always good, and they're always interesting and had some cool stuff. So that would probably be my nomination for Horsey for best international tournament.
All right, Fubar Duck, this is your moment to shine, man. Your pick for best international tournament.
Well, it's not going to be a surprise, and I am biased because, like Andrew said, I was there, but KVO was by far the hypest international tournament this year. Not that Canada Cup didn't have it going on or anything, but both Canada Cup and Shadowloo Showdown this year both didn't have like quite the amazingness that they did in 2011. And that's not to their fault or anything like that, but there was simply not a super all-star cast of players there compared to the previous year. But KVO, on the other hand, first of all, KVO is one of the few community organized events in Japan. Most tournaments in Japan are still held by arcade chains and by the fighting game companies like Capcom. So community-run events are few and far between, and KVO really hit it out of the ballpark with the organization, just how they got it going and how they got all the players involved. It was the event that everybody went to if you played Marvel or Power Instinct or Persona when it was new. So yeah, and we just had a golden opportunity to really showcase the Japanese play via iPlayWinner and Hans. So, thanks to Hans setting everything up and going out there and streaming it. One, it was a great community run event where we got to see a lot of new tech, and that was sort of the turning point where Virgil started getting used more. And furthermore, we really had a chance to properly present the Japanese scene to the Western audience because they had streamed tournaments before that, but none of those streams had the notoriety that iPlayWinner did. So it was a tournament that everybody knew to watch, which is another reason they made it good.
Ryan, will they ever have another?
That is a good question. Now, from what I've heard on the quote unquote wire, I'm hearing rumblings of another KVO happening in 2013, but at the moment, that is all I know.
Oh, that's sick. I'm stoked.
Yeah, as am I.
All right, so it seems like the panel is very appreciative of international tournaments with Marvel play. Hanzo Gonzo, your pick, speaking as a Marvel player for best international tournament.
Well, I figure the best international tournaments, the ones that I like watching the most, is where the scene gets to shine and the scene does like the actual like scene that's being represented doesn't get like raffle stomped by like Koreans or like the Japanese. So that's why I don't really suspect that Shadowloo or Canada Cup are the best, because it's really not like Canada or Australia just like powering through and doing something really hype. That's why I think KVO and Brazil really stand out, where it just showed the scene's power and power to stand up in an international spotlight. And I think KVO was especially good, I guess, because it really kicked off the Marvel scene for Japan. Like after KVO is when you started seeing much more Japanese Marvel play. And I figure from that, it's the best international tournament.
Martin, your pick, best international tournament.
I'm gonna have to agree with everyone and do KVO, and I will explain some other reasons why though. But I think mainly because it was something that we didn't get to see much as American audiences, is how Japan plays Marvel. Their tech, their teams, and everything. It was just insane to see throughout the whole tournament things that you never see in American tournaments. It wasn't the same people or same characters used over and over again. They had a wide variety throughout the entire roster of Marvel, and also I believe that with Hans there, it kind of helped Japan expose America and the Western audiences in Europe and stuff to Japan play, but more in a format that we're used to in a way high quality stream. The stream was great. It was great to see all those Western audiences, people in chat, talking about the tournament, getting hype over all the small things, and it was just hilarious too because the room that we were in was not that big at all. It was probably the size of a typical downstairs living room, and there wasn't that many people there. But the way that they conducted themselves, the way that the crowd there was getting hype, it was just a ton of fun, and that's something I really hope we can see again. Is more streams in Japan and more tournaments in Japan like this one.
Um, I think it's interesting listening to you guys talk. Um, and this could possibly be a topic for us to discuss on a later show. That it seems like almost everyone is unanimous in the opinion that to be as good as a tournament can be, to achieve like really just true legit status, you had to have Marvel on the roster because there are a lot of tournaments that these days that are running uh, Capcom lineups, but they're not running Marvel. And notoriously, IPL is going to be one of them. And so, we've got a full panel of fight game guys here, and it seems pretty universal. Everybody's saying to get to that top level, Marvel needs to be present. I think that's very interesting. We can maybe talk about that on another show.
Well,
Martin,
we don't know if IPL is not going to have Marvel or not
that's
yet.
true. That's true. I speak out of turn. They could very well. I think from what I understand, the rumor was that there was licensing issues with Marvel slash Disney, but um, that is true. We could see it yet. Martin, give us our next category, man.
Okay, now next one we're going to be talking about best major, and this is outside of Evo. So the categories for this one, the contestants are MLG Dallas, which was heavily picked by Arturo Sanchez because of Mortal Kombat. It was also a hype stream. Let's see, we also got Final Round, CEO, and NCR. Now, these are just the four that we've chosen, but is there anyone else? We haven't talked to Ryan if there's any other major that he thought would be great to add to this list.
Well, let's
I
start with Fubar. Go ahead, man.
Oh yeah, sure. I do think that NEC is worth sticking in that list. But if you ask me what the best major of the year was, I'm gonna say that it was probably Final Rounds. The reason I picked Final Round is because first of all, it had the best turnout for a lot of games, especially KOF 13. And secondly, it was pretty much the most hypest. I mean, it was the most hype Marvel events, pretty much the whole year. There were so many moments of Final Rounds, both this year and last year for Marvel. And this year we saw, we saw Mihei taking out Chris G with a perfect. We saw Kusoru log trap through an entire bracket of people he's never played against or fought against before. There were just so many breakout moments in that tournament. We saw Noel Brown take out Frida from Japan. What considered to be as one of the best zeros. So, yeah, my vote goes to Final Rounds.
Andrew, your vote for best major outside of Evo?
Man, that's tough. I'm just gonna throw out if I had Final Round was really good. So it's a close tie for me, but for the sake of putting in a more kind of cutting edge tournament and something that the way it's moving like made more progression into kind of a more modern tournament is CEO. And I felt like not that any of the other tournament organizers are not, but I just felt that Jabali's really hungry as a tournament organizer, and he's stubborn and he wants to get shit done, and that's stuff you want to see out of somebody who runs events. So it really it wasn't quite at the production value you want to see, but it's not like he's a rich guy with tons of sponsors or anything. So that that's what made it even cooler is that he had it how it was, but just the little things, like the ring, the entrance music, these are things like people always talk about and ask for. So as a viewer, and plus there was Daigo being defeated by Justin Wong, which not a lot of people brought up after it happened, even though that was kind of for Justin, that was huge. It knocked a demon off his shoulders. Yipes doing really well, Flocker doing really well. The Marvel brackets were stacked. They did top 16 of like Street Fighter and Marvel, so you got to watch a ton of fighting on the last day. Um, I heard that being there, there's not a lot to do except play games. So maybe, in that sense, it's not the most exciting major, but, that's not necessarily what you go to majors for. You go to play. So, but I would say CEO. That was, one of the coolest majors of the year for me.
Hanzo Gonzo, your favorite pick for major outside of Evo this year?
Well, I'm never gonna pick MLG because MLG sucks, and
Yo, like that. I respect
yeah,
that.
fuck it, fuck MLG. I'm sorry.
Right on.
God
Yeah.
damn.
Oh, our
Yo.
hero.
Yo.
If you're, I would say it would probably be final round by a mile because it's just there's so many moments that you can pick from final round, and it was like Japan coming over and just shoving it up our ass, and people just got really salty over it, and I found that pretty funny. And there's just a lot of moments, little moments that were just funny to me, and as a player, it was fun to watch. CEO, I was actually at CEO, and I hated the ring because when I was playing in it, like it would bounce up and down and shit, and the people on the side of the ring would like bounce it, and I hated that, so I'm not gonna pick CEO.
I respect your
Fuck
candor.
you.
Yeah, seriously.
Fuck the ring.
Martin, what do you think for best major outside of Evo this year?
Um, I would have to pick out of those three or four, sorry, final round, just because it just ran so smoothly, and I believe that we got to see a lot of diversity at final round compared to CEO and NCR. It was just kind of a melting pot of Japan, East Coast, West Coast, everywhere, and it just led to a lot better matches, more entertaining matches. Final round was a great job.
I'm gonna chime in and say that my personal pick, I actually wrote an article about it, was CEO. CEO for me was a good tournament, not just because of the fact that it was godlike on its own, but also because it did a good job of contrasting what was basically an abortion from MLG that weekend, where they ran just a crap tournament, and then Jabali stepped in and ran. He just knocked it out of the park, and it really was an example of these guys who, I mean, MLG spends 25 grand a weekend on just the satellite uplink for the internet at the venue. I mean, these guys are spending literally 6, 7 figures on a weekend tournament just to produce the thing, not even talking about prize spots. And here you have Jabali um, funding a tournament completely out of his pocket and blowing their event out of the water. Wasn't even close, like no comparison whatsoever. So for me, CEO, I really enjoyed final round. Anytime you have a tournament where a player comes in like Kuzuru and he does so well with the character people don't know that it ends up altering the meta game of the game being played. Like you saw so many Rocket Raccoons after he played, but nobody played him before that. So I liked final
Not
round a
really.
lot. Yeah, I saw a lot of Rocket Raccoons.
All right.
A million. All right, next, let's move it along, Martin. A little bit quicker with these topics. We're pontificating a little too much.
No problem. This one should be a lot easier. So we got best fighting game team or organization. So let's talk about first. We got Mad Cats, and they signed Infiltration, Laugh, Kayane. They signed up all of Korea. It was a great year for Infiltration. There's a little bit of problems, with Reinhardt getting booted off the team, but other than that, Mad Cats had a wonderful year. Then next we got Evil Geniuses. You got Pierre Balrog. Justin Wong won a lot of tournaments, and Sir Scoots left. So I would say that was a good year for Evil Geniuses. Um, good year for the death of esports.
Yeah.
Martin Blake banned from all future esports events. Confirms.
Yeah. So we got AGE, Chris G. So it signed Chris G, came out with some retarded headsets that no one wants.
Damn.
Other than that, the team has been doing well and made a presence this year. Broken Tier has done an amazing job. Kugi signed Marlin Pie recently. Curly Mustache has been insanely awesome. And Yipes has just been kicking butt tournaments this year. But other than that, Broken Tier has had a wonderful year.
Magus, I think you're probably going to say give the same answer I'm going to give. So I'm going to go to you first to see what you think about best team this year.
I think, what Martin said, Mad Cats had a good year. They also had a good year last year, though. AGE was kind of up and coming new, and the players have done good, but they've been here and there. I think really the breakthrough and who's driven their name into the competitive scene the hardest this year was Broken Tier. And they are listening to the fans and they are putting out content. They are flying their players out to where they want to go and they are winning. And they are putting out clothing that is cool and people are buying. It just seems like Kugi can't do wrong right now. So definitely gets my vote.
That's actually exactly what I thought you would say, and it is actually my vote as well. It's no secret I have massive amounts of affection for Paul Kugler and Team Broken Tier. Have had done work with Paul in the past. He's a good dude, and his team is doing really well this year. Curly Mustache, like you said, huge success. Yipes is coming into his own finally. Marlin Pie, great addition to the team. Everybody on that team is super godlike, and it's to me an indicator of how good things are at Broken Tier right now is that their best player probably is the guy they talk about the least, and that's Dominion. Um, Overall, Kevin Landon is the best player on Team Broken Tier. He's uh, one of the best, if not top five, Super Street Fighter 4 players in North America, and he's actually really good at Marvel as well. But yet he's on a team that's so hype that everybody's so busy talking about this team that he's almost an afterthought, which is how good that team is. Hanzo, your thoughts for best team of 2012?
I would like to give an honorable mention to my team, Marvelous Customs. But other than that, I would probably say Broken Tier by a mile, just because they're moving toward a more content producing sponsor. Kind of Mad Catz is kind of doing it too, but Broken Tier is really pushing out YouTube videos and really like promoting their team a lot. And I feel like for them, that's what sponsors need to do, and they're doing it really well. Plus, they have amazing players all around, so I think it's no contest.
Fubar Duck, do you got a pick for best fighting game team of 2012?
Well, I want to sound like a broken record, but it's definitely Broken Tier. And the only reason I could think to add on that hasn't already been mentioned is I feel like what Broken Tier brings to the table is focus. Like the perspective for me as a player for, a lot of these other guys, like, Age and Mad Catz are spectacular teams. And, we've seen a lot of like top players come out through these teams and do work. But I feel like Broken Tier is just really focused, and I feel like the other teams are just kind of everywhere at once. Like they're just trying to like, cast a wide net. Where I feel like Broken Tier is like concentrating vials of liquid awesomeness into a small test tube.
That's a good way to put it.
Martin, honorable mention to corn, perhaps?
Yeah, we can do that.
Seth, LOLOL, second place, SF25. That's pretty big.
Yo, they made it to World Star Hip Hop. That's like legitimizing the fighting game community.
Yeah, that's like an Oscar.
Mainstream.
It's right under a horsey.
That's exactly where we want to go.
Yeah.
I would love to see more content on World Star Hip Hop. Martin, did you have a serious pick, or did you want to go with corn?
I would say no. I would not go with corn. Actually. I would actually say Broken Tier. But here's the thing, though: they've had an awesome year, but next year they got to take the next step, and that's what I don't know if Paul is going to do. Is he going to pick up sponsors, or is he plan on still funding this all through his own company? Regardless of which, if they want to keep on going, he's either going to have to pick up sponsors or come up with something new.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I don't want to speak for him, but I know that Paul has been working on some non-traditional business model ideas for his team. So I think all these guys actually
still just himself. Then it's not going out to like.
I don't know what he's going to do. I just know that he's brainstorming a lot of cool stuff. So it could be. I don't know what he's got in the pipeline. I don't know what any of these guys got in the pipeline. Markman's always making moves. That guy is like the Godfather.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing you could always say about what Mad Catz does is they've just got such a good kind I want to say hold, but that's like a bad connotation to what I'm trying to say. But they just have a good spot in the fighting game community, so it's really easy for Markman to and Mad Cats to make moves, and
I mean, like,
anything they want to do is possible.
right. They have a team where they have Daigo Umehara on the team, and as of right now, he's not even the best player on the team. Like
Yeah,
that's
he doesn't. I mean, he doesn't even do like international tournaments anymore. Like he
right.
used to come to the U.S. like all the time, and now, he comes out. I mean, once a year, I think, twice a year, I guess. Well, 3 times, I guess he made it, but still, actually, it's kind of a decent amount though. Either way,
Martin, throw out the next topic, my friend.
Okay, so we got breakout player of the year. We got Mad KOF, Drew Grimy, Seth Lololololo, and Bala.
This is actually a really interesting topic this year specifically. I'm going to start with Hanzo Gonzo. Who do you feel was the best new rising star type player of 2012?
I think, to be honest, Seth LOL did the best for being so unknown because he's just some guy from Detroit, and then he just gets second at the 25th anniversary and then gets third at the finals. I mean, no American besides in ST got third, I'm pretty sure, or top 3. So it's he probably showed off more Street Fighter X Tekken knowledge than like every top player that plays that game combined.
yeah.
And he just knocked it out of the park. Really nothing more.
Fubarduck, your choice for best breakout player of 2012.
I'm gonna have to say Bala because that guy went from, I mean, pretty much an unknown, a nobody, to undefeated, like untouchable, best in the U.S. / world, only to get second in a very, very close set against Matt KOF. I think it's Bala because nobody knew his name last year, and by summer, I mean, there's not a fighting game soul in the world who does not know Bala now.
Mags, your choice for breakout player of 2012?
I'm debating in my head. I will give my nomination to K Brad though, because I feel not only in Marvel has he done really good, but I mean obviously in Street Fighter 4 he's turned the debate really hot onto Cammy because of how much of a breakout performance he's had, and people just can't believe that some guy could just randomly show up, beat Infiltration in 2 tournaments or whatever it was, win multiple tournaments, and just do as well as he has without ever really hearing about him before. So I think he's done so much already, and he's showing hunger and in both games, and he's focused, and I think he's going to be one, if not the player to look out for 2013.
I'm actually going to go with Bala. I think that it's pretty phenomenal to go from being relatively unknown to being a guy that most people consider to be the best player in your entire game. And that's in a relatively short span of time as well. That's pretty astounding. Martin, do you have a pick for a breakout player 2012?
For the same reasons you guys, is I got to support the Mexican community and say Bala.
That's funny. Mexicans are funny.
Why not Matt KOF?
Yo, why not Matt KOF?
I mean, he beat Bala twice at Seasons Beatings and Evo.
Why you gotta start shit, man? Come on.
I'm just asking. I'm asking why Bala over Matt KOF.
Because he's better looking.
Wow.
I think he's the face
I
of
respect
FGC, like we can put him on advertisements and stuff like that.
You can get on
That's true.
Hollister.
Marketability.
You can make a 8-bit Mega Man version of Bala that looks just like him,
That's true.
which was done just a couple of days ago.
Was it?
yeah. Check. That. Do you follow that guy who made Street Fighter Cross Mega Man? The guy
Yeah.
from Singapore. Yeah, he posted it on his Twitter. He was like, "Hey Bala, check out this 8-bit Mega Man character I made of you."
Oh shit! I saw the Markman
was
one.
really
I didn't see
bored.
that one.
Okay, yeah. The Bala one is uncanny.
Nice.
It's got the blue Hollister jacket and everything.
Martin, throw the
That's
next
sick.
one at us, man.
Okay, this one's gonna be fun. We got best drama and most controversial.
Shit.
So the contestants are: we got Cross Assault, Raffles, Pay to Say, Spooky Cashes Out, Stream Monsters Lashes Out, and then we got Ben Fish Sticks Gold Bieber calling out the FGC on how the community terribly promotes their events, and Twitch CPM.
Good
Wow.
God, there's so much discussion gold right here.
Oh my
Where do you,
goodness.
Magus, where do you start? What do you like for most best drama of the year?
Most controversial, huh?
Yeah,
So let's see. What man, I'm trying to replay. So Cross Assault was the first one that had a lot of the sexual harassment cases,
yeah.
um, being a terrible show in general. Sorry. Like Street Fighter Cross Tekken, like there's a lot of controversy packed into that. There is the whole like esports crew, Twitch guys, and oh my god, this is too funny. Like the like In Control and all those other people bitching about their CPM and stuff like that. So that was pretty funny. I could group that all into one thing, just being like the blow up that is streaming and kind of like the gold rush, I would say, of streaming almost. What was the other one? Sorry, I'm
We got
missing.
raffles.
Oh right, Rafflegate. Yeah.
Go Raffles.
That we didn't help, mind you. That it's like basically a lot of top players uh, looking for money to fly around the country to be able to play, and they're just using like sticks and stuff. So that one to
Well,
me is
not
not.
only that, but they would win sticks at the events that they would in turn
Right.
raffle to go to
But
more
that's whatever
events.
because people are getting something for it, right? Like if they win the raffle, they get a fucking stick. You're happy, right? You paid $5 to win a $200 stick or not.
Right,
That's
right.
your gamble. That's your choice. You're also supporting a player you enjoy watching. So to me, I don't even think that's controversial. I think really it's between um uh I think the whole like cross assault cross gate BS was the biggest blow up of the year. Not only because it was cross Tekken and not only for like this the sexual harassment stuff, but also because it stretched out into the mainstream. It actually seeped into like you know what is it, BBC articles and stuff like that and Kotaku, and just kind of like in in a bad way like publicized the FGC like um, so pervasive. So I would nominate that for biggest controversy of 2012.
Chris Eglia, who was our producer on the Fray and was one of the producers of Cross Assault, keeps saying that Magus is dead to him.
They didn't
Martin,
they didn't think I'd say it on air. The show,
he's like, whatever, you don't know me.
we're gonna
Uh,
keep this. I'm gonna be excommunicated from monthly winner after this and Twitch.
Martin, Capcom's gonna bring the Twitch channel down before we're even done with the show. Martin, what's your pick for best drama of the year?
Well, I worked on Cross Assault too, and there was a lot of drama. Of course, I agree with Magus saying that, going out to New York Times, mainstream media, that was kind of a big deal. But I'm also trying to think about, what type of effect it made on the community and how quick it made an effect. And Cross Assault did do that, but I believe Raffles was so quick and potent to the fighting game community because that's where money is. And I think that for the fighting game community, money is what matters more than like how you behave and how you act. And so I would say for the most controversial, and I had nothing to do with Raffles, but I'm just saying that Raffles is probably my pick over Cross Assault.
Raffles.
Raffles?
Raffles. I'm going to step in and say my pick and was not something that's been mentioned yet, and that's Li Joe and possibly teaming up with Brazzers.
Wow, I can't believe we forgot
I
that.
forgot about that.
Well,
Good call, Derry.
That was huge when it happened on a lot of different levels. First of all, it was the first time we'd ever attracted attention from like a multi-million-dollar sponsor of that type. That type being like an adult-oriented sponsor. We'd never been sponsored by like booze or cigarettes or anything like that. And all of a sudden we have this porno company coming in saying flat out they want to sponsor players and host their own events. And then that spawns this whole huge discussion. But of course, in the fighting game community, we don't have discussions. We have freaking flaming arguments about everything. And
Right.
people arguing about whether or not it was ethical, whether or not we wanted this at all. Like Was it going to be detrimental to our community?
Can we still call them DPs?
Right. And then certain events came forward and said they wouldn't allow, and I, for, whatever reasons would say, we can't allow Brazzers players to play at our events. And then other events were saying, oh, well, they can play at our, if Brazzers can't play at those events, they can come to our events. And then Brazzers was like, oh, we'll hold our own events. And like, it was a mess. So that's probably my pick. Hanzo, your pick, speaking of Brazzers.
Well, this isn't my
You got
pick,
something we don't know about, Hanzo?
Well, maybe. This isn't my pick, but Twitch CPM, I'm just going to say, is terrible this year. It's just way more terrible than last year. And if you're like trying to get into streaming, don't stream. You won't make money. I guarantee it. I'm just going to say that because I've always wanted to say it. But
I mean, that's why it was on the list, right? Like, I mean, that's why I was saying it was kind of a gold rush because like people thought like, if you want to be like, if you want your face out there, you want to make some money in video games and whatever, like this is the way to do it, right? Like, isn't that how you do it?
It's stupid, and I really don't think you should stream at all. I think you should just go on YouTube. YouTube CPM is almost double that of Twitch's at the moment.
Yeah.
Who might have been calculating. And I just make YouTube videos. Just stop
Well,
it.
you can go on YouTube for double the CPM with less hardware required investment and, just much easier to create videos than stream. Like, it's a complete blow up.
But Cross Assault kind of like almost destroyed the community. So I'm probably going to choose that because even Morgan Webb insulted the FGC after Cross Assault.
God damn, yeah.
Like,
everyone just insulted
turtleism, Morgan Webb.
Yeah. That's
why did he have a problem with it?
I don't know. She called the FGC sexist. So
Who didn't?
Yeah, seriously. I got newsflash for you. It is.
Yeah.
So I'm going to choose Cross Assault.
Yeah, but one thing to mention about Twitch and saying don't stream and stuff like that, there is something you have to note that like it is just another form of marketing yourself and putting your name out there. If you want more people to view your YouTube videos and stuff like that, Twitch is another venue. So it's another avenue. So, anyways,
I mean, like in seriousness, if you're just about making money, then obviously YouTube would be the way to go. But it is a useful tool.
Yeah, yes and no. It's in tandem. They both work. So. But right, you're not going to be making fucking bags of money with dollar signs on it like with fucking Twitch.
Yeah, enjoy your 50 cents an hour with Twitch.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Fubar Duck, your choice for most controversial moments of 2012.
Okay, if it wasn't for Cross Assault, it would definitely be L.I. Joe and Brazzers. But Cross Assault comes out on top just because it had so many blowups and so many. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a sucker for drama sometimes. Cross Assault entertained me for weeks. Literally, there was weeks of entertainment drawn from Cross Assault because let's stack it all up from the beginning. First, and you guys seem to forget there was so much drama with who got picked.
Oh,
for sure.
There's so much.
I didn't get picked.
Dude, Jabali was posting nude photos on his Twitter of some girl that he was with. Like,
oh God,
it was amazing.
Yeah,
God,
yeah. There was like Jabali saying all that stuff. There was Justin saying all that stuff, and going forward into the show, then it was Street Fighter Cross Tekken, and then, people talking shit about the format, and the format was terrible.
The format was ass.
Hey, we had 2 weeks to do that,
and yeah, just going on, and then finally, there's the fact that Nerd Josh won the biggest prize ever in fighting game history, and it's Nerd Josh. He's good, and I like him, but he's not the best fighting game player in the world.
Yo, hold it.
Yo, and what happened at the 25th after? That he didn't show up to it after he won that 25K, and he didn't show up to the 25th. That shit was a blow up.
Right.
But he had his reasons. I'm not gonna hang him out to dry.
I mean, like Nerd Josh is amazing, and he was absolutely the best player picked among that pool of players.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there's also that, but people are pissed off at us because we didn't pick pro players.
Right, but that would
have give other people a chance.
The purpose is to, we wanted to see. The purpose was to see mortals learn a game. Not like Justin, who would be the god of the game in 4 hours of play. You know what I mean? We wanted to see just mortal men like you and me, Andrew. I know we're both mortal players. I know it in my heart.
Absolutely, absolutely. You
And
definitely are, Fubo. I don't know about me.
God, you guys are cheesing right now. All right, we got about 10 minutes left, and but so enough time for about 2 more categories. I'm looking at our category lists. I like these categories for the players, but Martin, I'll let you pick which 2 categories you want to introduce in the next 10 minutes. Give us the next one.
Okay, we're gonna do the best sponsored player, and we got Chris G, we got F Champ, we got Infiltration, Yipes, and we had to add Justin Wong for some reason.
Yeah, why? Yeah, why is Justin Wong on the list?
That's what I would like to know.
Dang.
My pick, actually, I'll go first this time. My pick, I like Chris G. I mean, it's like Chris G or Infiltration. Both of those guys, Infiltration is dominating his 2 games that he plays, but Chris G is dominating the game that he plays. And if you would allow me for a moment, I would say that Marvel is a harder game to dominate in that way because it is so much of a minefield. Like you can run into so many different, like how many Virgil level 3s do you have to go through to dominate that way? Like it's tough to get on top and stay on top in Marvel, and he has been like untouchable, completely untouchable the entire year. With the exception of his disappointing loss to Evo and not walking away with that. He's won basically every major he's gone to since then. He's incapable of losing big 2. Like even if he agreed to split the pot, they'd probably just let him win anyway. Like he's definitely my pick for sponsored player of the year. Magus, your pick for sponsored player of the year?
Filipino champ. I think the guy could do no wrong. He won Evo. He ran Fighting Game TV House. You can't shut the guy up. He's got a quote on the internet every day. People always watching to see what he says next, to see what he plays next, to see how he plays. He's the most exciting player. He's the character, and I love watching him play. I love seeing what he has to say. Filipino champ.
I think this is going to be an interesting answer. Hanzo Gonzo, your pick for sponsored player of the year.
I think it's no question that Infiltration is way, way far ahead than every other player in the scene.
Yo, damn,
currently.
that surprises me, actually. Go ahead.
I think Chris G, he dominates on the East Coast, but whenever he comes over to like Evo or West Coast, he still hasn't won an Evo. He still hasn't performed well at giant tournaments. Champ is definitely one of the best players in the world at Marvel, but that's only at Marvel. I think Infiltration has 2 games where he's the best at, and he's shown it time and time again. He's only lost like 1 or 2 tournaments that he's entered this year.
Maybe somebody could step in with the information here. Has Infiltration lost a Street Fighter Cross Tekken major at all?
I don't think so.
Anybody know?
Has there ever been a cross Tekken major?
Well, no. I mean, like whatever at a major that they play it, has he lost?
No, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think he's lost a single one he's traveled to.
So yeah, I mean that's pretty. Martin, your thought for best sponsored player?
I'll have to say Infiltration as well. Just because look how much money he's won this year, over $100,000, and not only does he beat people, he beats people convincingly and just destroys them. So I'd have to go with Infiltration.
Fubar Duck.
I was really, man, this question really bothered me a lot. Just thinking back and forth between Chris G and Infiltration. And at first I was going to say Chris G just because, Marvel is such a difficult game to dominate. But I'm going to say Infiltration because not only does he dominate 2 games, and not only did he not lose at all this year in either of them, but look at the people he's dominating. You know what I mean? He's dominating Daigo. He's dominating Mago, Momochi. He's dominating, Justin. He's dominating gods of Street Fighter. And it's one thing to have, and not to take anything away from Chris G, but I think Chris G has, cracked the code and discovered one of the most powerful teams in Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think anyone can deny that.
Yeah, I mean, that team has the potential to be the new MSS of this game.
Right, it certainly does. And not to say that Akuma is not top tier or the best character in the game. In fact, what is very interesting to me is that when AE 2012 was location testing in Japan, which I was at the Nagoya Street Battle location test for AE 2012. And this was in, or let's see, was that AE or AE 2012? Maybe it was, yeah, it was AE 2012.
It was because the EX Fireball in the air, you were talking about the loops that he could do off it. I kind of remember that.
Yeah, that's right. So I was at NSB, which was the second location test for 2012 AE after it was announced. And every player unanimously that day, after the changes were printed out, everyone read the changes and said Akuma is the best character. Nobody said otherwise. And it's just amazing to me how Japan was able to, say that early, and that just by reading a small change list, suddenly, determining that Akuma was the best. But I went a little off track. I just wanted to say that, Infiltration is absolutely amazing. And even though he's using top tier characters in the games, he's also dominating top tier players, gods of Street Fighter who've been playing for years and years. And that's why I got to give it to Infiltration.
All right, we got a related category, and I actually am interested in hearing the thoughts on this one. Martin, read off our other category related to that one.
For the best sponsored player, let's see, we also have best unsponsored player, which is Infrit, MOV, Wolf Crone, and Happy Medicine.
Hanzo Gonzo, what do you think, man? Best unsponsored player?
I would have to say this is a tough one because I don't really think the ones listed are.
Well, give us your thoughts.
The best.
Whatever.
I would probably say maybe it's gonna be out of left field, but Patrick when he was playing Marvel in his prime. I know it's a little weird answer, but I think at the time, if he stuck with it, he would be one of the top 5 players in Marvel. But he went to Tekken, so I think at the time he would probably be the best unsponsored. Because like Infra, he did good at Evo, but like he's not doing consistently at the Wednesday night fights as much as he should be. And MOV's old as shit, so I really don't care. And then Wolf Crone hasn't done that much. And then Happy Medicine, he's doing well, but still hasn't done enough for me, I guess.
Magus, you've always been a guy that I've considered to have a strong knowledge of like players, and you have a good awareness of who's doing well, who's up and coming, who to look out for. Who do you think is the best unsponsored player right now?
I think Infra is one of them. Maybe not because of his results lately, but just because he seems to want to be sponsored, and I feel like if he was, he would be much better. I also think one of the best unsponsored players in America right now is Mr. Naps in Tekken. I think he's so dominant in NorCal, and if he was able to travel to tournaments, or if he wants to, he would be the most dominant player in the country, if not the world. So that's my pick.
Martin, your pick, best unsponsored player?
I would have to go Infant as well. I mean, he's not currently doing as great as he was earlier, but I believe that this is something that he wants. He wants to win. He wants to get sponsored, and I think he has the motivation to do so.
I would say my pick for best unsponsored player is Bala. It amazes me the guy is like the Daigo of KOF right now, or the Infiltration of KOF right now, and he doesn't have a sponsor.
Wait, are we saying that IGL isn't a sponsor? That's quite the blow up.
Dang.
I would have to agree with you because I was sponsored by them.
It's kind of like Marvelous Customs. But...
Well,
all I'm saying is, you've got Bala on Twitter talking about how he wants donations to get out to majors. That's not a sponsor in my eyes. He's not sponsored in my eyes.
Own up, IGL.
Kind of like how Team Spooky's not a sponsor.
Fubar Duck, you got a choice for best unsponsored player?
Yeah, you know what? I want to name some Southwest players because I didn't hear a lot of love going around, but I would say either Ranma-sama from Louisiana.
Oh, he's sick.
Or maybe Rubik's out of Houston, Texas. And I'm not sure if Rubik's has any kind of sponsor attached, but I don't think I mean, at least, nobody's super, super big. But, these are guys that are dominating the Southwest and are performing quite well when they go to other majors as well. We just saw Ramasama get top 8 at NEC, eliminating PR Rog in top 16 to make it up there. So, there's a lot of talent down here right now that if these guys travel to a couple more events, they're gonna have to be noticed.
Anyone out of Japan, do you think?
Nemo.
Nemo,
That's
Yeah.
but
Yo.
but Nemo he's in a weird situation. I mean I'm not sure how many of you guys know about his personal life that much, but he works full time salaryman in Japan and is married, and maybe he may be at that point in his life where children are a possibility down the line.
Hmm.
So I don't think he's exactly looking for that path right now either. And that's why I don't think we've seen Nemo travel to any international events. And he said that if he goes to Evo this year, this would be his only chance to go.
I mean, it's hard to
Damn.
tell with Japan just who even wants to be sponsored to travel or if they're just content playing with each other. So you never really know.
All right, I said we're gonna have two more, but we got a little bit of time left. I actually like the last category on the list, and
I do
think
too.
This is a
Yes.
good category to end on. So,
Yeah,
Martin, take it away, man.
Yeah, I believe so. This is a good way to end the FGC with some drama and salt. We got the Dead Horse Award 2012.
The dead
This
horse
for-
horsey.
This is for the most washed up person this year. So we got E.G. Flow,
Yo.
Daigo Umahara,
Wow.
Jago, Justin Wong, which would be hilarious because he got on the best sponsored player list, Viscott, and Own3D.tv.
Dang.
Yo, this is a brutal category. And by the way, you guys feel free to mention anybody that's not on the list. I'll start with Fubar Duck. Who do you like for Dead Horse?
Dead horse. Because okay, all right.
Oh,
I didn't see him. I didn't see him on the list, so I'm gonna say I'm gonna put Marn's name out there.
Yo!
Yo.
Marn, ooh.
Marn has
That's a good
not
one.
done. Marn has not done jack shit this year.
Just won a Wednesday night fights.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Like that's hard.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
so
As I
cal.
said, he hasn't done jack shit yet this year. And yeah, man. I mean, Marn was, he wasn't like best of the best or anything, but his name was out there. He was winning events and stuff, and he went from that in 2011 to this year. I mean, damn.
I feel like that's a cop-out answer, but
Oh,
We'll
I like that answer.
we'll
Actually. I think
accept
that's
it.
good. Well, let's hear yours, Max. What you got?
oh man. It's so easy to like to sit behind a chat and talk about this one instead of actually
Yeah, can I talk on the chat on this one instead?
right. Oh man. Biggest wash up?
Yeah, sign into your EMP_ chat account. Throw it out.
This one is so tough. Man, I'm just gonna say
Because they're all washed up or what?
yeah, I'm just gonna say that Viscount.
Oh,
Hey, come on, let me finish.
stinks.
Going from the big show to the second stage to where the hell is he? And that's, come on, nothing more needs to be said.
Jay Snyder is the smash mouth of Marvel 3.
Yeah.
That's tough. Hanzo Gonzo, I know you will not hold back, so I'm going to you, my friend.
All
Dead
right.
Horse of
Okay,
2012.
so EG Flow was never good, so I don't think you can really consider him washed up. Daigo Umahara still has some fight in him, I think. He got second. I don't think he should be on there. Jago is disappeared, and he was never good in the first place also, and he was part of a terrible show on Finger Cramp. So he's always been doing that. Justin Wong has had to fall from grace, I think, from his Twitter at least. He has been complaining a lot more lately, and I don't like that. I don't think anyone else likes that.
I
I think if he cleans that up, he won't be the most washed up, but he's getting close. Viscant has went from first at Evo to barely placing anywhere, and I think there's no contest that Viscant is the most washed up player. I love Jay. I like him a lot.
Yeah, he's
but
cool. Smart.
He's fucking terrible in Ultimate in this year, and yeah, Own 3D was always shitty. I don't know why anyone liked it in the first place.
I think that was just a subtle blow up to throw in there.
Martin, give me your pick for biggest dead horse of 2012.
I kind of have a tie between EG Flow and Daigo. Just because now Daigo, he's not been performing that great. Of course, he went out and wrote a book and made $1 million. But other than that, Daigo hasn't been performing that well. But EG Flow is just Flo has just been coming to tournaments and doing bad, and then somehow by default getting flown out to tournaments that he didn't even qualify for. like Street Fighter 25th.
No, damn.
Damn.
Other than that, it's kind of like a beef against evil geniuses in general because they do not know how to let go players. They have a bunch of players that have been doing inconsistent or just playing bad on their team, and they will refuse. Exactly, In Control's one of them. They refuse to let them go, and I don't know why they just don't let Flo go.
Do you think if they set that precedent, like by letting players go, that maybe the ones on the team will start to play better because they'll actually have the pressure, of being like, dang, if I fuck up, I'm done. That's what I always thought too.
Yeah, and across their entire division, if that was the case, if they let people go, and also it would show other people, it's just like, hey, I feel I can do better than Flo. I'm going to work to try to get sponsored by evil geniuses.
Yeah.
Ryan Hart is my pick for Dead Horse in 2012.
He just won a tournament today.
Yo, DM sent, my friend. DM
Today,
sent.
like an hour ago.
It doesn't count. That's post-apocalypse, Andrew.
Oh my god.
DM sent. All right. Let's actually, we got like maybe a few more minutes. Let's do I like the team or most hype moment that was on the list here. We talked a bunch of shit, but let's end it on a serious note. Most hype moment. Lead off Martin with the most hype moment.
Okay, hypest moment of 2012. Evo 2012. Bala versus Mad KOF in KOF 13. America winning first round in AE at Togeki. Tokido getting knocked out in Brazil at SF25 by Breno fighters. And Evo 2012 F Champ versus Chris G in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
My pick for hypest moment of 2012 was probably F Champ versus Chris G at UMBC 3. That was something that a lot of people were wanting to see all year long. It was definitely something everybody was looking forward to all weekend that weekend. When it happened, it did not disappoint.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think anyone could have predicted which way either one of those guys could have and would have won that match. And it played out perfectly. That was my pick. Andrew, your pick.
Stretching the definition a little, I think the most hype moment for me was a fellow American traveling over to Japan and finally winning a game in SBO, which is unprecedented, unheard of, almost improbable, was when Justin Wong won Marvel at SBO. So that's kind of that was to me the most exciting. I stayed up for it. It was really late, but it was dope and it was worth it.
Martin, your choice.
I'm going to have to give it to Bala versus Mad KOF in KOF 13. Just being there at EVO, the audience, the reactions, it was just insane.
Fubar Duck, your pick for hypest moment of 2012?
My overall hypest moment is going to go to Bala versus Matt KOF. I don't think anybody that was at EVO could look me in the eyes and say that there was not a more hype moment. There were just so many back and forth. There was so much back and forth, so much adjustment at a high level, and it's not very often that you get to see that like super firsthand. An honorable mention is going to go out to Justin Wong winning SBO for Marvel because me and Giuna were drinking alcohol and running around with American flags, and it was a lot of fun.
That makes me proud.
Yeah,
that you would do that. That makes me proud.
Not him.
Yeah.
Hanzo Gonzo, end us out, man.
All right, it's not on the list, but but no one really talks about it as much as they should. I think KB's winning 5 games in one set in Aftershock, pretty much winning the entire tournament by himself was the hypest moment for me personally. And it's just one of the most insanely hard things to do if you look at the players he beat, that I don't know why people don't talk about it as often as they should.
That's a good choice.
I mean,
all right,
because
guys.
of his general inconsistencies, that's why I would say that people don't talk about him as much. But
I know,
but yeah, I agree that was pretty insane.
All right, tune in next week, everybody, or whenever we do this again. We're gonna read off our actual picks for the HorseHead Awards, and they probably will be in categories that weren't even talked about tonight. Who cares? It's the HorseHeads, the most prestigious awards in all of fighting games. Any final thoughts before we end? Anything you guys feel like from 2012 that needs to be talked about that we didn't talk about tonight? Magus 1 2 3 4, I'll go to you.
No, I'm, I just think the Horsies are awesome. This is the Oscars of the fighting games community, and just congratulations to everybody who's even been nominated. Because if I was you guys, I would just be honored for that.
It's an honor to be nominated.
It's just an honor to be nominated.
I bet Viscan doesn't feel honored.
Well,
He's honored to be nominated.
Well, hey, to be on the washed up list, that means you had to have been on the top before, right?
yeah, that's a good point. Hey, glass half full kind of look right there.
What can I say?
Good
I'm a
Flo on
positive
top?
guy.
I don't think Flo was ever on top, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
That is also a good point.
That's
Glass
just-
half empty. All right, guys. So if you guys enjoyed the show today, make sure you follow all of our panel on the various social medias that they participate in. You can follow Magus1334 on Twitter at Magus1334. You can follow Hanzo Gonzo on Twitter at Hanzo Gonzo. You can follow Fubarduck on Twitter at Fubarduck. You can follow Martin on Twitter at Blu-ray, REI. And you can follow myself on Twitter at DairyH. As always, The Fray is a show dedicated to the fighting game community. It's a loose panel discussion. We enjoy doing it for you guys. Hopefully, we'll be able to come back more often and do this live. I really enjoyed it tonight. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And unless the rest of my panel wants to insult the fighting game community just a little bit more, that'll be it.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
Miranda's thighs.
Tantalized and seduced by the demon's release. Pressed to the ground by the whim of the merciless.